In this video, we'll be talking about the best strategies that you can actually take action on today to increase your credit score. Building towards a higher credit score is super important because unless you plan to buy everything with literally all cash, you'll need to borrow money at some point to buy expensive things like cars and houses. So tune in and watch till the end because I'll share the proven ways that helped me increase my credit score so you can improve yours. So let's jump right into it. Firstly, let me briefly explain how credit scores even work because that will ultimately lay the foundation for what you can even do today to improve your credit score. When we're thinking about credit, we need to first start with the bank. Call it your Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo. This is where we keep our money, right? Their job is to help store and to help us access our funds when we need them. When it comes out to lending out money though, they have a big challenge on their hands. They have millions of customers who need to borrow money, but they don't have a quick way to figure out who they can trust to lend their money out to. So that's where credit bureaus come in. Credit bureaus make it easier for banks to quickly figure out who they can trust based on how high their credit score is. The most commonly used by lenders is one called FICO, and the higher your score is, the better you look to the lender. They have 5 categories that determine credit score. The first is credit history and how frequently someone pays their bills on time. Second is amounts owed, a ratio between debts versus credits. Third is average length of credit history, how long your accounts have been open for. Fourth is credit mix, different types of debt like credit card, auto, mortgage, and other forms. And the last one is frequency of new credit. You get dinged for opening too many new lines of credit, but we'll talk about that later. So now that we know the major factors that impact our credit score, let's get into the tips to come up with a game plan to improve your score. The first one that I have is one that I like to call the tag along method. This is when you partner with someone with a good credit score already and tag along with them. You do that by being added in as an authorized user to their existing line of credit. By being added in as an authorized user, you associate with someone with a good credit score, so over time it helps quickly raise yours. Think of it as a shortcut because you're basically telling the lenders that you have people with good credit scores vouching for you and putting skin in the game by allowing you to be part of their line of credit. Now, on the flip side, you have to be careful with this method because you can hurt their credit score if you're not paying your bills on time and holding up your end of the bargain. And that can hurt the person that's allowing you to be an authorized user because you both share the line of credit. So with that said, the goal here is to partner with someone willing to help and with a good credit score because that will make you look better in the eyes of creditors and improve your credit score by affiliation. The next tip is to build on your credit history. The easiest way to start building credit history is to get a credit card with your bank. And if you don't qualify for a credit line, you can ask your bank for options like a secured line of credit where you will access funds you deposit as a form of credit. So if you deposit $500, you can access a line of credit for $500. This is kind of an initial way for you to start building up your credit before you have a credit card. So my advice to you is only open up a line of credit if you can pay off however much you spend on that credit card each month. So if your monthly spend is $1,000 on your credit card, you should be able to comfortably pay that off by the end of each month. Otherwise, I recommend holding off on getting a credit card until you can commit to clearing your balance every single month. And I will keep coming back to this and you'll see why. This is an important tip because my number one advice throughout this whole video is to make sure that you clear your balance every single month because that will absolutely build good habits, 1, and 2, help you build your credit the fastest and easiest way possible because everything comes back down to like how much money do you borrow and how quickly you can repay it. This is important because the last thing you want to do is hurt your credit history by not making all of your payments in on time. Establishing a good credit history is super important to your lender and it will definitely increase your credit score if you follow the tips that I just laid out. The next tip is to pay off your debts. So here's the game plan. If you can clear out your credit balance ASAP, I recommend doing that, of course. And once you do that, turn on auto pay with your bank so that you don't have to worry about making on-time payments anymore since it'll all be automated. Just make sure that you make enough money to cover whatever balance that you spend every single month based on trends. So that's one less thing that you have to worry about paying off every single month. And if you can't do that, I have a solution for you. What I recommend doing is to use a service like Prosper or Lending Club or even your bank to pull a personal loan that totals all of your debts that you have on your credit cards and then use that money to immediately pay off all of your credit card balances off at once. Now, what this means is that you'll have all of your debts accumulated into your personal loan now, but it's going to be better for you and I'll explain why. I recommend this strategy because you're getting a much better interest rate by consolidating your personal debts into one. The reality is, no matter if you owe on your credit card or a personal loan, you still have a balance to pay off. But with credit card debt, the interest is high, like I'm talking 27% or more a year, which is insane. And a personal loan's interest rate can be anywhere from 7 to 12%, depending on your credit score, of course. Still high, but way better than your credit card. So you will definitely save money off the fact that your interest rate will be lower than your credit cards. Plus, it will be a lot easier to manage your debt since you will be managing one payment each month moving forward to your loan, and I highly recommend turning on auto pay for that as well. Now, going back to the game plan though, if you go the debt consolidation route that I just explained, I recommend to not use your credit cards anymore until your personal loan is completely paid off. And I'm not saying you should cancel your credit cards because you still need them for credit history building reasons. I just don't want you to be burying yourself in further debt. So showing a track record of clearing your debt balances now and moving forward is really important to increase your credit score. Once you establish to yourself that you are responsible with a credit card, the next tip that I have is to open up new lines of credit. Opening new lines of credit basically says that you can manage multiple lines of credit, which tells your lender that not only can you manage multiple lines of credit, but that you are a responsible spender with larger credit limit. Along those lines, remember one of the categories FICO takes into account is credit mix, which means once you get a handle of your credit card debt, you eventually want to add more credit mix, like an auto loan, personal loan, purchasing of assets, or maybe even a mortgage. Now the caveat is don't get more debt just to get more debt. Like try to find a legitimate reason for it. Like the auto loan example, if you have a need for a car and you have the means of getting it, then obviously getting a car and making payments on time on it will definitely help with your credit score. Widening your credit mix helps you stand out because it tells creditors that you are in good standing with different types of lenders, which of course makes you look better. To quickly recap, we talked about the importance of establishing debt and then managing it. So now let's talk about credit utilization and how it can impact your credit score. Once you total up all of your debts, the credit bureaus want to see that you are below a 30% threshold for your credit utilization. This percentage matters because it basically comes down to risk. The more debt someone has, the riskier it looks to the lenders. So it's really that simple. There are several ways to stay below 30% credit utilization. The first is to manage your debt balance, and paying it down will mean that you're utilizing less credit. Easy enough. The second is to add more lines of credit or ask your bank to increase your current line of credit so your balance will be a smaller percentage in terms of credit utilization. So by keeping your credit utilization score to 30% or below, it will very quickly increase your credit score. So the next tip that I have for you is a little bit more of a creative way to increase your credit score. And the approach that most people don't know about is that you can actually build your credit history by paying your rent and utilities on time. Data shows that 43 million Americans pay rent and utility bills. However, not everyone knows that they can actually build a better credit score through this. In fact, most landlords will not report such payments unless you have an agreement with them. So unless you add rent and utility payments to your credit report, you're missing out. So what should you do? You can't do it by yourself actually, so the bureau will get your payment information through public records and even from your creditors. The best way to make sure you add these payments to your credit report is through a third-party service. There are a lot of different services out there, so it's better to compare and contrast in order to get the best and most economical choice for you. I'm sharing this idea to let you know that this is one way that you can actually improve your credit score for something that you're probably already doing. After adding your rent and utility payments to your credit report, you'll be able to build your credit score every single time you make a payment. So by doing this, you'll actually establish a better credit history, which of course will improve your credit score. So the next tip that I have for you is to dispute your credit errors if you have any. So reviewing your credit report from time to time is good practice to ensure everything looks correct and accurate. A resource that you can use to check your credit score is annualcreditreport.com. The reality is sometimes companies do make mistakes and do not account for a payment you've made already or not account for a clerical error. In worst case scenario, if any of your accounts were hacked. So the point is you want to be on top of all of this because you don't want credit errors to negatively impact your credit score and make it more challenging for you to borrow money. So if you see things on your credit score that are double entries, inaccurate, or even credit lines that you're unfamiliar with, you can call the company responsible for the credit error and then call the credit bureaus to inform them of the inaccuracy of your credit report and have it removed. So by way of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, they must correct it on your behalf, so it's in your best interest to give them a call and get any errors corrected so that you can improve your credit score. It's totally worth going through the hassle of disputing errors because doing so successfully will significantly boost your credit score by taking away the thing that's dragging it down and allow you to maintain good standing as a borrower. That wraps it up for this video. Listen, working towards a better credit score is incredibly important. At the very least, it opens up opportunities for later down the road. With that said, if you literally follow the steps I outlined in this video, you will be making some great strides to improving your credit score. Feel free to save this video to reference it in the future. Also, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more content. I share tips on business and finance to help you level up in your life. Catch you in the next one.